One of the objections I sometimes hear from atheists and secular friends is, you religious people, you like to raise your children in your faith tradition, and let's be honest, that's indoctrination, that's brainwashing, just pumping their heads full of, faith-based ideas like that. In fact, Richard Dawkins, the famous celebrity atheist, in his book, The God Delusion, even went so far as to say raising a child in a religious faith is the equivalent to child abuse. How might I, as a Christian, respond to that? Well, the first thing I guess I'd want to say, if I had Professor Dawkins here, I'd say, look, Richard, I completely agree with you that exposing children to really bad ideas is maybe not a helpful thing. But my first question would be, who gets to decide what's a bad idea and what's a good idea? I mean, sure, there have been some bad religious ideas in history, I'd be the first to admit that, but boy, there have been some bad atheist ideas too. I think of social Darwinism, I think of eugenics, the list goes on. So who gets to sit in judgment upon all the ideas of history, the religious ones and the atheist ones, and pick and choose which ones get taught? Interestingly, who gets to sit in that position? There's a question. The other deeper problem, though, of course, built into the objection that we shouldn't be teaching our faith to our children, is the idea there's a kind of neutral position, a kind of neutral secular position that we can all adopt, we can all agree on, and everything else we put to one side. But I'm not sure there is such a thing as neutrality. I don't think there is such a thing as a kind of Switzerland of the mind where we can all agree that we have everything in common and leave other things outside of that space. Because so many of the ideas that we want to teach to our children are actually deeply religious ones. I think, for example, we want to teach our children about human rights and dignity. We want to teach them to treat other people with respect and dignity, even though their ideas may differ, because of the very nature of human rights and what it means to be human. But of course, the idea of human equality, the idea of human dignity and human rights is a deeply, deeply Christian idea. An atheist writer, Luke Ferry, who in his book, A Brief History of Thought, points out that human rights is a very Christian idea. He says, as an atheist, I am grateful to Christianity for the idea that all people are equal and have rights and dignity. He said that would have been a completely bizarre idea in the ancient world. It's an idea that has a context, a very Christian context. But one kind of sort of final personal thought on this, I address this question as a parent. My wife and I have two beautiful children. As I record this, I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we are certainly teaching our children about our faith. We're not brainwashing them, we're not indoctrinating them. I want them to think for themselves and one day choose Christ for themselves, but I will do my very best to communicate the truth of the Christian faith for one reason and one reason only. I think it's the best gift I can give them. I think the news of who Jesus is and what he did and what he reveals about God and how we can have a relationship with him is the most incredible news in history. And if I said to my children, I'm sorry kids, Daddy's not going to tell you this, this is incredibly important, but I'm not going to say anything, that to me is deeply abusive. Rather, I want to do what every parent wants to do. I want to convey to my children the very best that I can, to teach them the most important things that I can, and teach them, sure, to respect others, but also to tell them why mum and dad think these things matter so very much.